Good morning, you are watching A News. I'm Bakhtiar Sanov, and let's see the top stories. American-Israeli hostage Eden Alexander reunites with his family after 19 months in captivity. European countries call for a ceasefire as a necessary condition to secure peace between Russia and Ukraine. Asian markets surge after US-China trade agreement alleviates investors' worries. An Israeli-American soldier held hostage by Hamas for 19 months has been released during a temporary pause in fighting. But soon after, Israeli strikes resumed across the Gaza Strip.
After 19 months in captivity, 21-year-old Israeli-American soldier Eden Alexander has been freed by Hamas and reunited with his family. The International Committee of the Red Cross facilitated his transfer, with Israel briefly pausing its military operations to allow the handover. Shortly after reuniting with his family, Alexander was taken to an Israeli military facility and then flown to hospital. His condition was described as weak but stable. His release followed mediation by the US, Egypt and Qatar. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the release came as a result of sustained military pressure in Gaza and diplomatic efforts led by US President Donald Trump.
This is a very emotional moment. Eden Alexander has returned home. We embrace him and his family. This was achieved thanks to our military pressure and the diplomatic pressure exerted by President Trump. This combination is a winning formula. I spoke today with President Trump. He told me, I am committed to Israel. I am committed to continuing to work in close coordination with you, to achieve all our war objectives, to release all the hostages, and to defeat Hamas. These goals go hand in hand. They are interconnected.
Shortly after the handover, Israeli strikes resumed across Gaza. Palestinian authorities reported casualties in Khan Yunis and in northern areas, including at shelters housing displaced families. Israel says it had targeted Hamas fighters planning attacks. Hamas described the release as a goodwill gesture toward President Trump, who is visiting the Middle East region this week. Trump, in turn, welcomed the development and expressed hope that more hostages would soon be freed.
We hope that we're going to have other hostages released too, as you know, so.
The deal has sparked criticism within Israel. Some families of remaining hostages accuse the government of favoring captives with foreign backing, calling for a broader agreement to secure the release of all 58 still held in the Strip.
But President Trump, please don't stop. Don't leave us alone. This is only the first step. Do whatever is necessary to bring every last one home. The other 58 hostages have no time left. They are in hell. The living could be killed any day. The deceased, their bodies could be lost forever.
Meanwhile, the humanitarian situation in Gaza continues to deteriorate. Israel resumed its military campaign in March after a ceasefire, tightening its control and cutting off aid. 2 million residents now face extreme food shortages, according to the United Nations. A global hunger monitor warns that 500,000 people are at risk of starvation and famine, could hit by September if aid does not resume.
Germany says there can be no peace talks without a ceasefire in Ukraine. European foreign ministers met in London to coordinate further support for Kiev as pressure mounts on Moscow.
A truce is the first condition for any negotiations between Ukraine and Russia. That's according to the German Foreign Minister Johann Wadefuhl. He made the comment in London on Monday as European foreign ministers met to discuss strong support for Ukraine. He says that Kiev is ready for peace talks, but the next move must come from Moscow.
This is a crucial week in which we can take a step forward towards peace negotiations. In our view, the prerequisite for this is that there must first be a ceasefire. This has been clearly articulated. Ukraine is ready for this. President Zelensky has taken a big step forward, and the expectation of President Putin and Russia is that they will now follow suit.
Wadeful also stressed that Germany, along with its European allies, expects Russia to demonstrate a clear desire to end the fighting.
Germany now expects a ceasefire from Russia and then a willingness to negotiate. I am quite sure the European position is clear. It will make it clear that we can have momentum, that Europe can finally return to a situation where peace can prevail.
Foreign ministers from the UK, France, Germany, Italy, Poland and Spain met under the Weimar Plus format in UK's capital and issued a joint statement pledging stronger support for Ukraine, saying, "We discussed how we would further step up European efforts to support Ukraine in its ongoing defence against Russia's war of aggression." The group added that Ukraine should remain confident in resisting Russian attacks with continued European backing. The Kremlin insists President Vladimir Putin is serious about peace talks. On Sunday, Putin proposed direct talks with Ukraine aimed at ending the war. And after US President Donald Trump publicly told Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to accept, Zelensky said he would, but that Putin should attend the meeting in Istanbul on Thursday in person. Putin and Zelensky last met in December 2019. European leaders visited Kiev at the weekend and have called for an unconditional 30-day ceasefire.
Previously, our Andy Mioch discussed the upcoming possible peace talks between Zelensky and Putin in Turkey with Daniela Mello, who is a political scientist from Boston. Daniela shared her insights regarding the reason Zelensky agreed for those discussions and if Russian President Vladimir Putin will turn up on Thursday in Istanbul.
What I see happening right now is primarily a delay from Putin or a tactic from Putin trying to delay as much as possible any movement in this front. So what we see initially was Poland, Britain, Germany, and France in communication with the United States, primarily not directly with President Trump, but via his envoy to Ukraine, Kellogg, who was trying to basically come up with a consensus, all of these countries coming up with a consensus about asking for an immediate ceasefire before any talks could happen. From the moment that Russia replies with wanting direct talks right away, and President Trump undercuts the allies by basically saying that Zelensky should immediately jump in at the opportunity to meet in Istanbul, the game shifted. And the strategic game shifted in a way that, as I see it, Zelensky is trying to call the bluff from President Putin. Why? President Putin is trying to gain time. Zelensky is basically saying, no time, let's meet right away. If what you want to do is meeting, then I'm open to do it. I'll be in Istanbul on Thursday. It's unlikely that Putin is now going to agree to this very quick turnaround in the meeting preparation. But I think that's exactly what Zelensky is counting on, that Putin is not going to take the next step to actually make this meeting happen, and that indeed the Europeans are going to go away with tougher sanctions and some other form of pushback against Russia.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has approved the ratification of the minerals deal with the United States. Ukrainian parliament ratified the deal on May the 8th, saying the deal will create the U.S.-Ukrainian Reconstruction Investment Fund. The statement says that the document will pave the way to large-scale investments into the Ukrainian economy, including into vital infrastructure, industry, and post-conflict reconstruction projects. The United States and China agreed to slash tariffs on each other's goods for 90 days. The de-escalation breakthrough will see U.S. tariffs on Chinese imports fall from 145 to 30%, while Chinese levies on American goods will fall from 125 to 10%.
The United States and China have agreed to a 90-day pause in their trade war, with both countries committing to sharply reduce tariffs in a bid to ease global market uncertainty and revive economic cooperation. Speaking after high-level talks in Geneva on Monday, US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent announced the deal, which will see China cut tariffs on US goods from 125% to 10%, while the US will reduce tariffs on Chinese imports from 145% to 30%. The revised American levy includes a 10% base rate and an additional 20% tax hike on fentanyl-related products. In a joint statement, both sides have pledged to a long-term and balanced trade relationship. Bessent called the talks robust and said both countries defended their interests well.
The consensus from both delegations this weekend is neither side wants a decoupling. And what had occurred with these very high tariffs, as Ambassador Greer said, was the equivalent of an embargo, and neither side wants that. We do want trade. We want more balanced trade, and I think that both sides are committed to achieving that.
China's Ministry of Commerce described the agreement with the US as a crucial step toward resolving differences and laying the foundation to bridge gaps and deepen cooperation. In a joint statement, both countries announced the creation of a new mechanism to continue discussions on economic and trade relations, led by Scott Bessent and China's Vice Premier, He Lifeng. The statement emphasized that both nations believe ongoing talks could address their respective concerns in the trade relationship. A spokesperson also expressed hope that the US would build on this foundation, continue working with China, and fully correct its unilateral tariff policies. During an interview with CNBC, Bessent stated that he expects to meet with China again in the next few weeks, with the next meeting likely focusing on a more comprehensive agreement. He also mentioned that they would work on addressing non-tariff barriers and expressed confidence that China is now committed to stopping the flow of fentanyl into the US. After the agreement, European shares also climbed, giving investors hope that a full-scale trade war might be avoided. The breakthrough follows a steep escalation in April, when President Donald Trump raised tariffs on Chinese goods to 145%. Reigniting tensions in a trade conflict that began in 2018. China responded with its own levy increases, further straining global trade and the economic relationship between the world's two largest economies.
Asian stocks rallied and the US dollar held on to most of its gains on Tuesday. It's after the US and China agreed to slash steep tariffs for 90 days, easing fears of a global recession. Japan's Nikkei soared 2%, reaching its highest level since the 25th of February, while tech-heavy Taiwan's index also climbed 2%. Chinese stocks also edged higher in early trading. This lifted MSCI's broadcast index of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan to a 6-month high. Earlier, the S&P 500 rose more than 3%, and the Nasdaq jumped 4.3%. The International Civil Aviation Organization has ruled that Russia violated international air law in the 2014 downing of Malaysia Airlines flight MH17. ICAO's council said Russia failed to meet its obligations under the Chicago Convention, which prohibits using weapons against civilian aircraft. The ruling followed a case by Australia and the Netherlands over the shooting down of MH17 over eastern Ukraine. A full decision document will be released later. The PKK is disbanding. The group has announced an end to its 4-decade armed struggle. Presented as part of a new peace process with Ankara, the decision is seen as a turning point for regional stability.
The Kurdistan Workers' Party has decided to end its armed struggle and disband after 4 decades. The decision, made during its 12th Congress, is part of a peace process initiated by Turkey. This follows a call from PKK leader Abdullah Öcalan in February to lay down arms. Turkey's Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan called the decision historic and stressed that concrete steps for disbandment must be taken and closely monitored.
Ben bu kararın
On this issue, I think if this decision is implemented sincerely and enacted in a way that will eliminate other concerns, it will be a very good decision for our future, our citizens, for everyone.
Herkes için çok hayırlı bir karar olacağını düşünüyorum.
Syria's Foreign Minister Asad Hassan al-Shibani called the PKK's decision to end armed struggle and disband a critical moment for regional stability, highlighting its importance for both Turkey and the broader region's security.
On behalf of the Syrian Arab Republic, we congratulate the Turkish government and its people on their recent agreement with the Kurdistan Workers' Party, PKK. This step marks a pivotal moment, not only for Turkish internal security, but also for the stability of our whole region. The success of this effort reflects the main goals we've gathered for today: restoring security, safeguarding sovereignty, and ending the continuous cycles of violence in our region.
The PKK, which began its armed insurgency in 1984, resulting in nearly 40,000 deaths, economic damage, and social tension. Its decision to end armed struggle will impact not only Turkey, but also Kurdish-inhabited areas in Iraq and Syria. This move is seen as a pivotal step toward ending the long-standing conflict and ushering in a new phase of stability.
Turkey's role in regional connectivity and energy diplomacy is once again in the spotlight. The Secretary General of the Black Sea Economic Cooperation Organization, Ambassador Lazar Komanescu, says the Black Sea region is increasingly vital to intercontinental ties, and Turkey is at the heart of the Middle Corridor and regional energy initiatives. The Black Sea region is becoming more strategic in global trade and energy connectivity. Ambassador Lazar Komanescu, Secretary General of the Black Sea Economic Cooperation Organization, says the Middle Corridor is gaining momentum and Turkey plays an active leading role in this process.
Many initiatives which we have been developing within the organization, like the Black Sea Ring Highway or the motorways of the sea, or cooperation in the area of energy and so on. Turkey has had a lot of initiatives in this respect, and just to come closer to our times, you may wish to know, and I am particularly glad that under the Turkish chairmanship in office of this organization, in December 2023, we have been able to adopt a new strategy, a new basic economic agenda, which is setting up our priorities and lines of action for the next decade. And that speaks by itself about what the role of Turkey has been. And I'm absolutely convinced that Turkey would continue to have a most valuable contribution to the promotion of the objectives of the Black Sea Economic Organization.
Komanescu emphasized the rising interdependence between nations and the region's growing importance as a transit hub connecting Europe with Asia and the Middle East.
The Asian region, Asia and Pacific, are becoming the real engines of the economic of the global economy, and that means for that we need connectivity, and you cannot speak about connectivity between Europe and Asia without the Black Sea. This is why we in the Black Sea have been promoting several initiatives aimed at highlighting and asserting more the role of the organization in this respect.
The BCEC also supports new energy projects. From clean energy transfer to gas exploration, regional cooperation is expanding.
As you know, there have been other initiatives like the so-called green cable transport of energy, clean energy from Azerbaijan through Georgia, Black Sea, Romania, and Hungary. In between, there are, negotiations and talks among Turkey and other countries in the region, like, Romania, for example, and Bulgaria, looking into how to explore and exploit energy resources in the Black Sea, like gas and so on.
With 13 member countries and a combined population of 350 million, the Black Sea Economic Cooperation Organization sees the region as a global hub, both as a market and a gateway. From energy corridors to transport highways, the Black Sea continues to shape the future of regional integration. And as Ambassador Kumanescu underlines, Turkey is right at the center of this transformation. Azerbaijan and the European Union have discussed expanding energy cooperation, focusing on the supply of natural gas, green energy and hydrogen to European countries. Azerbaijani Energy Minister Perviz Shahbazov shared the update after meeting with Jan Koopman, the EU's Director General for Neighborhood and Enlargement negotiations. Talks also covered the development of energy corridors, investment opportunities and the future of the Azerbaijan-EU energy dialogue, as both sides look to strengthen Europe's energy security. Kazakhstan and the United Arab Emirates are deepening their strategic partnership. During the visit of the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi to Astana, dozens of agreements were signed. Our Fariza Kalimurzana has more.
Kazakhstan and the United Arab Emirates have signed more than 20 commercial agreements totaling $5 billion. The deals were concluded during the official visit of Abu Dhabi's Crown Prince Sheikh Khaled bin Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan to Astana. The two sides agreed on cooperation in transportation, the digital transformation of the oil and gas sector, expansion of the merchant fleet and the implementation of round-the-clock energy supply projects. One of the flagship initiatives is the construction of a 1 gigawatt wind power plant in the Jambul region by the UAE-based company Masdar. The project is valued at $1.4 billion. Once fully operational, the wind farm is expected to generate over 3.4 billion kilowatt hours of electricity annually, helping reduce carbon dioxide emissions by around 2 million tons. The IT sector saw agreements amounting to $250 million. These include plans to build a supercomputing cluster and a data center in Kazakhstan. According to the Castrate Center for Trade Policy Development, bilateral trade between the two countries reached $277 million in 2024. President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev noted that the United Arab Emirates is among the top 10 foreign investors in Kazakhstan's economy. Last year, investment from the Emirates more than doubled, exceeding $1 billion. The partnership between the two countries continues to grow across energy, transport, logistics, and digital infrastructure. The Crown Prince also expressed the UAE's readiness to deepen cooperation in logistics, including airport development and digital modernization. From Almaty, Kazakhstan, Fariza Kalimurzana, A News.
Senior officials from China and Pakistan visited Kabul over the weekend for trilateral talks, focusing on enhancing political ties, regional security and economic cooperation. Our Tamim Bahis has more.
Chinese and Pakistani delegations visited Kabul over the weekend for high-level trilateral talks with Afghan officials aiming to boost cooperation on political, economic and regional issues. China's Special Envoy Yu Xiaoyong and Pakistan's Envoy Muhammad Sadiq held separate meetings with key Afghan leaders, including Acting Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi, Interior Minister Sirajuddin Haqqani and Industry and Commerce Minister Nuruddin Azizi. Talks focused on preparation for upcoming 6th trilateral dialogue between foreign ministers of Afghanistan, China and Pakistan, set to be held in Kabul. They also discussed the next regional foreign ministers meeting. Afghanistan's foreign minister stressed the need for strong political and economic ties with both neighbors. The visiting envoys reaffirmed their commitment to mutual respect and regional cooperation. Interior Minister Haqqani discussed regional security and the role of trilateral diplomacy, while Commerce Minister Azizi led economic talks on trade, investment, industrial parks, special economic zones, and improved banking ties. These meetings mark a renewed push towards regional cooperation as Kabul seeks stronger integration into the regional economy. This is Tamim Bahiz in Kabul for A News.
We are done for now, but don't go far. Stay tuned for more and have a wonderful morning.